Don't try to copy somebody. Be yourself. Be unique. Be creative. Don't look what everybody else is doing and try to copy that. And if you can't do that, well, then you're not a writer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode, Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. Here we have our new guest for today. Say hello to Clinton. Hello, Clinton. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Hello, too. Excellent.
Say hello.
Well, so, tell me, Clinton, how long have you been a writer?
Well, a published writer, a few months. It was actually about, 2 or 3 years ago. We were camping, and my son and my nephew, and we just told stories around a campfire. And we came up with the story, and it was, we kind of liked it, but of course it was too silly to make into an actual book. So we had to develop it. So it was about, was it 2 summers ago? So about 2.5 years ago, that it was first, the novel part of it was first birth. And I'm sure we'll get into the other parts because the book covers you did was for the other part of it. So it developed into something else.
And I understand. Okay. So what did spark this? Basically, you shared that story and then it just happened?
Pretty much. Now, prior to this, I did some writing for, it's called The Church Show at thechurchshow.com. I was created the characters for the show and directed the writing team. So I had some background in that type of writing. So, but yeah, we just came up, it was a silly story, a campground story. And, I used, so Elisha and my son became King Elisha, and my nephew Joshua became Prince Joshua Nuvedad, and I'm Clinton. And I was at first it was Clinton the Wise, but it did not. I thought it would be too much to put the name of the author in there, Clinton the Wise. So I changed his name to what did I change it to?
Concad.
Yes, Concad the Wise. So anyway, it just had the basic story, but then I did we did some, what do they call it? Background, what do they call that? Backstory. So I kind of had to develop a backstory. So why was King Gabagambi and King Elisha at odds with each other? And, why was Prince Joshua the only one that could fulfill the prophecy that is talked about in the book? So, and then we developed the outline, of the chapters. So basically, first we did the backstory, and then character development. That's another important one. So each character, my background is in developmental psychology. So I gave everybody a little bit unique character. What are some of the characteristics of Joshua, Prince Joshua?
Joshua's friendly.
What's the other one?
He likes to touch me.
He always touches. So if you notice, he's always hugging, which would make sense because he grew up very isolated. So he was very touchy-feely, basically. But he was not the favorite character. Cato Moses, which was the bodyguard for the prince, because it turns out to be the better, more likable character. And then, so we talked about that, and then, outlining the story. And then the agonizing part, of course, is, you come up with all these impossible, unsolvable problem. So there were two. One was so basically the novel part was that Prince Joshua Nuvedad receives a prophecy that at an early age he would help bring peace between the two nations of Winsford and Carusi. How are we going to do that? When I started it, I had no clue. All right. And then, of course, we had a war conflict between the two nations. So, and literally, we have them, the armies on the way to Winsford. How are we going to keep? Is the war? Is there going to be war? Is Gabagambi going to lose, or is he going to win? So, agonized over that for a long time. That was the hardest part: is trying to figure out the solution to the conflict. And I'm not sure I'm using the professional words for it. Is there professional words that writers use for that? Whether the conflict is resolved or there's an answer to it?
When there's a conflict that resolves. I
don't know the professional name for it. See, you don't have to know the professional names to enjoy the writing part. But one day I can actually remember the day. So I'm thinking about this every day. How am I going to solve this? How am I going to solve this? And I came up with some boring solutions. And I'm not going to, by no spoilers, but then all of a sudden, it just like came to me in my mind. It was a Thursday morning, and I'm like, oh my God! So that's what we're going to do. And of course, it had a lot to do with the backstory. So bringing the backstory is how it solves it, and the prophecy becomes fulfilled.
Seems like this book was like a lovely family project in a way.
Well, the interesting thing now you guys didn't do this cover. The cover you did though, just as well. I really love the border you used. But my wife is from Rwanda, and without giving details there, she how do I say? There's some let's say victimization of through the genocide there of the Tutsis. So a little bit of that influence is in the book. Now it's a novel; it's strictly a novel, but that there is that influence of the genocide between the Tutsis and the Hutus. But I didn't want to use those names. I wanted to make sure I didn't use the names of real tribes.
Oh, so I thought it was a children's book.
It is, and it's strictly a novel. But that is part of the influence where there is the conflict between the us two and the people of Winsford. And now the play on words, did you catch that? So the name of the tribe is us two.
Us two.
Us two. So it's whenever it's like, well, wow, they're us two. Well, yeah, they're us too. Do you see the play on words? So it's like, so they're trying, every time they make fun of the us two, it's like, yeah, they're us too, but they are us too. So that's kind of the play on the words there, to realize that really the people you are pushing against, they're us too.
No, I get it. I did understand the joke. I did understand
you get it, yes.
So are you like self-published or traditionally published?
That is self-published. I sadly had a very sad story. The publisher I chose for the novel, there was some scamming involved. So at least I'm on Amazon, but yeah, you got to really be careful. I'm planning to revise it and get a new ISBN and try some traditional publishing. There's a lot of scammers out there. Yeah, you got to be so careful. The book that you did the cover for, or how do you say it?
Markee Books.
Markee Books. Excellent cover. So his picture's on the cover. So what it turned into is I wanted to make it into a ministry. So how do you make a novel into a ministry? So we are developing the Joshua Nuverdad, which is simply a novel, made up fictional character, into the Joshua Nuverdad Bible Studies for Children. Can I tell you a little bit about my motivation for that? So he's 10 years old. Most Sunday school material, if you're talking about church, for Sunday school, for children is Bible stories. So the stories are the events of the Bible. But there's nothing far as theology. Even though he's attended 3 what they call vacation Bible schools, the actual gospel was never presented. It was very low key. I realized how much my son is capable of learning, but most things are really watered down. So I couldn't find anywhere. I looked and looked. I'm sure
I know how it is. I got in one of those 2 one time as a child. It's always like that.
It's so watered down, and it's like the Bible, the Joshua Nuverdad Bible Club presents actual theology to children, and we're starting to develop that. So that book should be out the 1st of December. That first book is enlistment. So again, there's that kingdom theme, so it's enlisting into the kingdom of God versus, Joshua Nuverdad's make-believe kingdom of Winsford. And that's presenting you'd say the gospel, very simple, who's God, who's Jesus, who's the Holy Spirit, why is there, those basic doctrines, and in a simple way to present it to children. I'm lucky enough to have a test group of children that I work with, and know what ages they are capable of learning it, what works, what doesn't work. So it's pretty exciting. The idea is to eventually, now these are independent Bible studies.
Oh yeah, actually, 10 years old is a good age. I gave classes to 8 years old and 11 years old, and the difference is abysmal for children, like a lot.
Yes, yeah. So, for example, I brought in some kindergartners. Kindergartners, first graders, even second graders didn't have the ability to. It would be too, advanced for them. But third grade on up, it would work. There you go. So that's kind of my vision, is to create the Joshua Duberdat Bible Club and the characters. So what he does, so his role, he's one of the characters. So we have, where they're doing the book that you made the storyboard for, or the cover for. He's on the cover. So basically, when they're doing the little lessons, they're only 8 minutes a day, that's it. So he's one of the characters that kind of talks to them in the book as King Elisha the child. I play the role of King Elisha the adult. Of course, I look better with my, my wig on, or just one or the other. And then, some other, we got a couple of other children that are, I don't know if you remember the picture, but there's a total of 3 children on the cover. So we have videos of them online, and they're kind of, there's a mix between theology and then just a little bit of fun, hold their interest from the novel.
Of course. So I have this question. Do you think like your life changed since you started doing this?
Did my life change? I found something that is fun for me to do. I own a cleaning company. So one of my clients is builds cell phone towers. So I'm not lying if I say that I am support staff for government and defense communication workers.
Okay.
Because they build cell phone towers for government and defense. So it sounds fancy. But I would much rather be writing my creative juices. So yes, my life changed. This is what I want to do in my retirement years. This is much more fun than using chemicals to clean,
Of course.
Yes.
So what was the thing you have to struggle the most when you started writing this book?
Well, when we first wrote it, it was silly. It was not realistic. Okay, so I think we had somebody jumping up and down and twirling, and anyway, the solutions were just silly. It was just a silly campfire story.
So the most difficult thing will be like remaking the ideas into something more realistic.
It has to be realistic, yes. Then also, we had 2 major problems that we presented, that it's like, okay, how do we solve it? So you've got, King Gabagambi and his forces have, teamed up with the P2 tribe from Bakanda, all their tribe, and it's unexpected. The King Elisha wasn't expecting it. The head of security for Winsford sees them coming. What do we do? So I was like, okay, how are we going to solve that problem? So, and then of course, how did eventually, if there is peace between the 2 nations, how would that possibly happen when you have such an evil King Gabagambi? And the prince, how did he bring about it? So it's like, okay, I came up with this solution that I wanted, but it's like, what is the solution? So that was actually the most difficult part.
Okay.
And I didn't want it to be, expected. I didn't want it to be like, oh yes, anybody could see that. I didn't want it to be like, whoa, where did that come from? So that was agonizing, absolutely agonizing.
So how long did you take to finish this book?
Well, about 6 months.
Oh, that's good. For a new book, for a new writer, I think that's a very good number.
Yes, but also, I had some experience. So, I had did the backstory, did the character development, wrote it. And then now the editing and proofreading part, that was another several months.
It's okay. It's always hellish for anyone.
Yes. But I had it all written except for those parts. And so I'm agonizing. I wanted a real good surprise. Yeah.
You mentioned it before that you outlined the story. How did you do it?
At the beginning, I didn't. I just told the story at a campfire off the top of my head. But yes, to outline the story, kind of like what the chapters are now, you kind of in your head, you just kind of come up with a story. You've got, but I also start with the backstory, but I don't put that in the book. So, for example, part of the backstory is, I don't want to give all the backstory away, but
it's okay. No spoilers.
But yeah, no spoiler. But you got a backstory, and then but you don't start there. You start, introducing the characters, and then you read it, and is this interesting? So he was one of my testers, right? So I would give it to him to read and say, okay, if this page is okay, put a check mark. If this one is boring, put an arrow down. So it should flow. It should, even for myself, when I'm reading something, I'm like, no, that sounds.
How long is the book, by the way?
It's I don't know, a couple hundred.
161.
What is it? Well, yeah, about 170 pages. The novel. The Bible story, the Bible study is about 100. It's now this is not your cover. This is a proof copy. So in other words, this is actually a picture taken right in my house. So this is not the cover you did, but this is like about 110 pages or something like that. So the Bible study is for 6 weeks. Monday through Friday or 5 days, they would do the study. On day 6, they make an outline, just a very simple, like 5 or 6 sentence outline of something that they've read during the week. Then on day 7, they're encouraged to make a presentation of what they learned to their parents.
Right.
Some of that background, yeah.
Do you do anything when you suffer writer's block?
Yes. So basically, it's okay. Take a break. I could not solve. I came up with the solution that I wanted an answer to. So I already came up with and says, Prince Joshua Newberdad brings peace between the two nations. No clue how I was going to do that or how that was going to happen. So, but I wrote the whole story, 95% of it. But then it's like, now what do I do?
Did you get inspired by the works of another author?
No. So even in my business, I don't do that. So sometimes people say, well, how much do you charge or how do you do it? And I'm like, a lot of people look at other customers to see what they're doing. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do it like them. I want to be creative and be my own thing. So even with my writing, I don't want to see, okay, how does this person do it? How does that person do it? Like, no.
I get it.
If it's fun.
It's actually,
yes.
People actually say that sometimes your work can be like influenced by more senior writers.
So no, I just wanted to do it. It's totally me, but is it going to be interesting? So if a page wasn't interesting to me, then I'm like, it's not going to be interesting to somebody else. So rewrite that page and try to make it more the flow, or I don't know, the action needs to move. He was my toughest critic. What were some of the things you might say that would make it more interesting, or some of the parts that would be boring, maybe?
When they have a meeting, they could have some more funny parts in the meeting instead of just people talking.
As an example. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
He'd be very honest with me. He would say, no, this one needs more action. This needs some humor. This is dragging a little bit. So, by the way, how did we come up with the name? So my nephew...
I was just about to ask you that.
Yes. My nephew's name is actually Joshua Navidad, which means Christmas. I didn't want to use that. So I said, I need a different name. And he said...
Newverdad, Joshua Newverdad.
It just came off the top of his head. And I'm like, that's perfect. So he actually came up with the name Newverdad. And it's just a made-up character.
Well, how is written?
Pardon?
The Newverdad. How do you write it?
Nooverdod.
Nuverdot.
Oh,
Nordod.
actually, that it's a good title. I don't think I ever saw anything like that before. So, what do you think will be like the main message on your book? The message you want to like give to the readers?
Well, for the novel, there's still a sense of morality to it. So Prince Joshua Nuverdod. So it's for children and it's safe. And so I don't. There's no witchcraft in it. There's no a lot of as a Christian, it's many books have witchcraft, sorcery, all this kind of stuff. There's none of that. So Prince Joshua Nuverdod makes a very simple act, does a very simple act of kindness as a 12-year-old boy. A very uneventful, very simple act of kindness. Now his bodyguards, called the Catos, are against it. So they said this presents a security breach. But he says, no, come on, let's do this. So he commits a very simple act of kindness. So from that simple act of kindness, an entire nation is changed. Actually, two nations are changed. So kind of the message is from our simple, or your simple as for children, but even for adults, but it's for children, your simple acts of kindness can do very big things. Because they keep saying, what did he do? What super big thing he did? So many people think, throughout the book, he's striving and pushing to bring peace, and he didn't. It was just one simple act of kindness. And then years later, because of that act of kindness, there was able to be peace between the two nations.
Oh, so that's nice.
Our simple acts of kindness can have big results. That's the message of that book, of the novel.
What advice would you give to new writers starting right now?
Be careful with what publishing company you use, and do your homework. Really do your homework. I would say don't try to copy somebody. Be yourself. Be unique. Be creative. Don't look what everybody else is doing and try to copy that. So then you're also going to find out, are you a writer or not? Because otherwise you'd be like, well, I can copy Joe Smith because whoever, that's a made up name. Because
I'm pretty sure there's one out there.
Because he's, sold 1 million copies. And if I write something like that, I'll sell 1 million copies. No, my advice is be yourself, be unique. And if you can't do that, well, then you're not a writer. And then, writer's block. Yeah, it's okay to step away, come back. Okay to step away and come back.
Yeah, I have heard many stories from my guests that usually there are people that takes years in those waiting times before coming back, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's not.
Oh, there you go.
Because if you never came back, it's probably because it wasn't for you. That's it. You have to make peace with that reality sometimes.
Sure. Also, as a child's book, and I was lucky to, I've got a child, and I also got some other children that kind of read it and gave me some feedback. So now for example, my niece, who's on the cover of the book, she plays the role of, so the cover that you guys made, she plays the role of
Her Royal Duchess.
Her Royal Duchess, and she helped me a lot with the first chapter. So. And I'm like, yeah, go for it. Make the changes, and then, yeah. So there you go.
At least you had already like your beta readers. That's how usually we call them. Already prepared. Most people had to hire that kind of help.
Sure.
Yeah, most people like make like on Fiverr. Reddit, Discord, or whatever, and ask, hey, can you read my book for and some people actually do it for free, for fun, and others ask you for money. So what would you say is like the biggest dream you have now that you're a writer for the future? Well, like your goal.
Yes. Well, the goal or the vision, is to develop the Joshua Nuverdod Bible Club. And we'd like to have it, also, so individual Bible studies for children, different age groups, also Sunday school curriculum. And then, of course, there could be Joshua Nuverdod Bible clubs, which could be done in churches or in homes. And it'd be very, very, Also with, different ranks, or just to make it, you got to have some creativity. You got to use some imagination when you're working with children. So ways where they can get rewards, get up to the next rank, so on and so forth. Also, within those groups, there can be some children leadership roles. Just for example, just keep it very simple. A snack coordinator, all right? One of the children can be a snack coordinator, all right? But that can also be one of the part and kind of entwined in the Joshua Nuverdad Bible Club.
Are you planning to adapt this like for play?
No. Wow.
I don't know. It's just that
Why did you say that? Wow.
It's because that when I heard you talk about your book, in my mind, it felt like a play.
Like a movie or a drama or
Not exactly, not a movie, like a teacher, with actors playing the roles.
Sure. Well, no, you never know. If it was like presented as like a vacation Bible school or something, then yes, the actors could play different roles, and that could fit in very easily. Yes.
Yeah, I remember doing many plays in the Bible school. I think it's pretty common.
Now, some of the critique that I might get, especially from more of the traditional religious type, is you're mixing the falsehood and fiction with the truth of God's word. So, yeah, okay, that's true. But I make it very
allegory success. I don't think it's a problem, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, you look at something like Veggie Tales. I think the children are old enough to realize that vegetables don't talk, although they are. It's just a creative way of presenting Bible stories.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. If the message is sent, I don't think that's a problem.
Sure.
So, do you have like any memorable experience with any of your readers? Now that your book is out there?
Not yet. I don't really have contact too much with the readers. Any feedback that I do get was surprisingly, if it's a boy or even a young man, it's surprisingly more adult readers than children readers or children, adults reading it to their younger children. Is that the key character, of course, is the prince, but their favorite character is his bodyguard. The bodyguard is humble, is very loyal to the prince. He also, he ends up getting arrested for a mistake he made, and he has a comeback from that. And a lot of, surprisingly, that a lot of people kind of identified with that, not being arrested, but his ability to make a comeback. And then, of course, with the girls, it's, the Princess Carolina
of Delamere.
So.
Okay. Do you have like a support network with other writers that advise you or stuff?
I wish. I know like one other writer, but I that would be awesome. Just to kind of, like which publisher you use, if you were doing this, what would, how would you do that? There is a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of scams. Yeah.
Well, if you want to give it a try, you can try in Bookstagram. Oh, it's in Instagram, but it's a hashtag for books.
Oh, and what do you do with the books? What is it called?
Usually the Bookstagrammers are people like promote their books, talk about their books. I coordinate between them.
And then they connect with other writers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, BookTube, it's similar to. There are many social media that do that, actually, on Facebook even.
Yeah, that'd be good. One of the other influence, I know you didn't ask me that question. One of the influence, of course, that influenced the story was the situation, the genocide there in Rwanda. But also, remember, we were camping in Adirondack State Park, which is the largest, I believe, one of the largest federal parks in the U.S., there in New York State. So a lot of the locations are mentioned there. So Snowy Mountain, for example, Jessup River,
Lake
Louis. These are actual locations in the Adirondacks, and that was kind of just brought into the story. We happened to be camping at Louis Lake campsite. So that's in the story.
So tell me, how do you handle the challenge of marketing right now?
Well, the novel's been out, I think, almost a year, almost. The one that you did the cover for actually hasn't been released yet. It's supposed to be released about December 1st. So for the Bible study, I don't plan to do a whole lot of marketing. I've actually just basically we're producing content. So and we developed a separate website for that. But for Joshua Newberdad, I would, like I say, when I do it again, I will probably revise it a bit and go through see if I can go through a traditional publisher. Publisher I went with, they did this kind of a thing with contracts and well, like I said, they did not meet their obligation of the publishing contracts. But as far as the cost I don't think that's something I would want to do. But if a publisher, I think, isn't that what traditional publishers usually do? Is they do their own marketing, or is
they usually manage all that marketing by themselves.
Yeah.
Also, they don't like they don't like when writers find others designers and stuff without asking them. We have faced that situation a lot.
Yeah.
We made the design, then we heard that the publisher said that they don't want to deal with it because they didn't make it. It's very uncomfortable.
Can you explain? I know that you're interviewing me. Could you just kind of rephrase what you just said?
Basically, like, as we are cover designers, when we deal with clients that already has publishers, it's usually a problem because most publishers don't like when you outsource work.
I see. Yeah.
They want to manage everything. They want to have control about everything. They want to be able to say, we made this cover. If the writer finds someone from outside, they usually say, we are not going to use that. So it's a waste of time, to be honest.
Unless, of course, you're self-publishing.
Yeah, of course. With self-publishing, it's super easy because you have all the copyright control on everything.
Yeah, so I think the big thing is, why would somebody want to read your book? It might be an interesting story to you, the story of your life, but what would make it interesting to somebody else? Why would somebody else have value in that story? It might be wonderful to you that your cat named Flora was your best friend, but so you have to find your niche and develop that. So
honestly, I think that there's an audience for basically everything. And by the way, I already know at least 2 books that are exactly about what you just said. About someone writing about a cat best friend.
Yeah. So, like I say, and the other thing too, when I worked at the churchshow.com, the producer said, this show isn't for everybody, and it's a small niche. But the idea is, I'm not making it for everybody. So once you find your niche, don't try to. This is another word of advice. Don't try to make it for everybody. It's that niche. Just keep it at that niche. I don't know what professional words you would use.
Of course, you can try writing for other audience in another product, but changing the audience of one already established property, it's always a bad idea.
Yes, always. Yeah, it's a bad idea.
I mean, a lot of TV shows that are remakes, modern remakes from 80s stuff are basically a proof of that.
Okay, sure. So the novel, so again, the novel is, for, older children, and the Bible studies, we're trying to, this is the first one out. Again, this is not your cover. This is a proof copy, but the Bible studies is designed for 3rd grade on up that we're starting, but because for that, first kindergartner is not going to do independent Bible study, but then we're going to do, eventually is, Sunday school material. for all age groups. So we are working on it. We are developing it. You see me looking around. I'm in my office, and you can't see what I'm looking at, but the different books that we are working on.
So I wanted to ask you, what are your plans for the future? Do you have another series in mind, or are you going to continue this one?
No, just this one. For the, obviously the Bible studies. That's.
Are you going to expand this world?
Expand the what?
If you're going to expand this world you created in your book, I mean, if you're going to make a spin-off or sequels.
Oh, we do. I would hope. So the next step is to a revision, which is pretty much rewritten at this point. I'm hanging on to it with a new title, but it's a revision. And kind of republish it under a new name, a new ISBN. And we have discussed the actually could be up to 3 books, but there's no sense of doing it just for the fun of it. You need something that's really going to be somewhat successful and profitable. Otherwise, why bother with the second book or the third book? But yes, there is material where we have discuss, right?
Yeah.
At least 3 for 3, I would say. What do you think? 3?
Yeah,
2?
3.
Yeah.
Or one really big one.
Yes.
So can you tell me in what platforms we can get your book? Only Amazon till now?
At this point, yeah, I would say Amazon. They in theory, have contracted things out. I don't know where, but Amazon, yes, Amazon.com is, whatever it is. Joshua Newverdod, Prince of Winsford, and it's in paperback, hardcover, ebook, and even in audio.
Ooh, already have an audiobook?
Yes, I wish I did it myself, but we had we hired somebody to do that. So, and then when the Bible,
it's fine.
When the Bible studies come out, which is the first one to be out, hopefully, certainly before Christmas. That'll also be at Amazon and I don't know, a couple other places. But the website is joshuanewverdod.com. And then the other one, which is not live yet, would be joshuanewverdodbibleclub.com. But they'll kind of link back and forth to each other.
So do you have an upcoming event you will planning to go to promote your book?
I've been trying. I have done just the local bookstore here, but there is a new owner. The other one I had a very close working relationship with. So at this one, I don't know yet. I've reached out a couple of times. Thought it would be fun. It'd be even fun for the store. Have my son come there dressed as King Elisha, and my, who knows? I might even dress as King Elisha. You never know.
But I'm King Elisha.
Well, the adult King Elisha, yes, yeah, but
maybe in a local library.
Well, I don't know if they would allow. If they would allow? I mean, for selling books. I don't know if libraries allow that.
Well, I don't know. They do readings, public readings, but it's not the same, right?
Yeah, you could do a reading, like that. And then we could do it in character. Sure. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Well, thank you, Clinton, for joining us today. I think that's all for now. Well, everyone, thank you for coming to another episode of Writing Inspiration with Markee Books. Thank you for joining us, and say goodbye to our friend Clinton. Bye, Clinton. Have a nice day.